stream of consciousness.
Oh, what are you guys doing here?
I'm walking down the street now. I've never done this before, talking into my phone and recording it. So I guess you get the treat today of an experience of being somebody I'm talking to on the phone while I'm walking down the street. I'm hoping that the microphone is recording my phone microphone. No, my headphone microphone instead of my phone microphone. There's what is this? It's not a bollard. It's a planter box, and it's on the sidewalk, separating it from the street. I guess so people don't run over people on the sidewalk. And it's full of petunias. And I've been thinking about petunias a lot lately. They're so ugly. They're such ugly flowers. Very commonplace. So overused to petunias, but they actually smell delightful. And if you get down to petunia level, they smell very mildly sweet and perfumey. It's a really beautiful, almost a nighttime kind of smell. And you can get them in all kinds of colors. And if you look closely, you realize they actually are quite pretty. We're just so used to them, we seem to have forgotten. Some are smaller, some are bigger. Let's see what this one. Oh, that one smells delightful. And then there's this one. This one smells good too. When I think of petunias, I think of like the landscaping in like a middle-class townhouse complex, the kind of place somebody moves into after their divorce, but the kids are still young enough that they need a backyard. And these people are, let's say, like reasonably successful real estate agents or somebody who works in insurance or I'm trying to think kind of, for the most part, private industry jobs, not, doctor or lawyer money, but definitely somebody who can afford a really nice bottle of wine on a regular basis, but maybe not any particular taste. Just, somebody's doing the landscaping. It involves petunias. But then I asked a friend of mine about petunias. What do you think of petunias? And the first thing she sent me was the most incredible photographs, because she's a very good visual researcher. And my friend found these petunias somebody had bred that are kind of gigantic. And these petunias sort of look like the cosmos. They're almost black, and they have these beautiful spots that look like galaxies on it. And then she sent me another picture of this incredible profusion of petunias just spilling out of these planters on the balconies of this house in Spain. And it was all one color. They were kind of like a reddish pink, but the volume of it was spectacular. And when you get up close and you smell these things, you realize that must just be a beautiful place to live for the entire summer, because petunias kind of stick around. They're not seasonal so much in that way. And that's exciting and nice. I'm now standing and staring at Roy Thomson Hall, and I'm looking at it from Metro Square. And Roy Thomson Hall, it's sort of the major classical music venue in Toronto. It's where the symphony is based out of. And if you've ever watched science fiction television, you've probably at some point seen Space UN, and that's probably Roy Thomson Hall doubling as the United Nations of Space. It's a really cool building. Toronto's really good for that. These sort of like 60s, 70s concrete structures, maybe some glass involved, weird shapes. It's very round. And Metro Hall is also sort of a forgotten spot. It's not as well used and well loved because it's the Metro center, so the Metro government is all based around here, and at lunchtime all the bureaucrats and office workers come out to the farmers market or the little jazz concert or whatever they have to entertain people, and it's a nice little open space, and that's fine. Even tonight, it's a Monday night, it's in the summer, we're at peak summer, high solstice, and people are out on their little dates sitting on the grass in Metro Square, David Pico Square, really. I don't know who David Pico is, but it's Metro Hall and Roy Thomson Hall, sort of surrounding it. What is everybody doing at night? They're getting out of the house and they're getting out of the building, and we're so lucky it's summer in the middle of this pandemic. Soon enough, it won't be summer anymore. It will be fall and then winter. Fall will be exciting. Everybody will be running around. The air will be fresh. We'll be a little sick of the 40-degree weather by then. All kinds of fruits and vegetables, very exciting, just pouring in from the region, so fresh and delicious. And then a part of the excitement is knowing that very soon it will be very cold out and gray. Who knows what the winter will bring? I mean, will it be a warm winter where it's in reality still cold, it's just gray and wet? Or will it be a freezing winter where there is piles of snow, or even without the piles of snow, it is minus 40 degrees? Will it be a bit more mild and manageable, or will it just be this extreme back and forth between the two of freezing cold and very warm, like it was this past year? There's also at Metro Hall, because it's a municipal building, it's one of the buildings they open up as a cooling center when there's an extreme heat alert, which we are under right now. And the cooling center is interesting. It's where you go. You don't have to be homeless to go to the cooling center. You just have to be in an unenviable position of having nowhere else to go. And unfortunately, with all the shopping malls closed and libraries and all these other spaces you could just wander into to get some cold air, unless you feel like pretending to grocery shop for 3 hours, cooling center is your only option. And it says here, so let's see, to help stop the spread of COVID, they ask if you have symptoms. What are your symptoms? Fever, cough, muscle aches and tiredness, difficulty breathing. I don't have any of those. The woman just offered to let me in, which is very nice of her. I'm just reading right now. It also says, have you traveled recently from anywhere outside of Canada, including the United States? Well, the answer to that is also no. And have I had close contact with a person ill with COVID-19? That, as far as I know, is also no, which is really nice. I'm really lucky to have that. And that's, I guess, the bare minimum requirements to find out if you are COVID safe, because the choice at the cooling center is to either die of heat exposure or to die of COVID. I guess they've got a good bar. You know, it's a good bar. Do not come in here if you recently traveled from New York. But they can't make it so strict otherwise, because then people wouldn't be able to cool down. Because, I mean, all of us probably sneeze at some point during the day. And now we have some other advice, and this is official Toronto Health advice, which I actually think is a pretty reliable source of information because they've got quite a bit of independence. And so it says, protect yourself. The best way to prevent infection is to avoid being exposed to the virus with prevention measures, including wash your hands often with soap and water or use an alcohol-based sanitizer. And it's true, that's number one. I feel like this is my number one rule, and it has been since February. Wash your hands. All the time. Number two, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. And this is also true. This is also my rule number 2. Don't touch your face. And then rule number 3, avoid shaking hands with others. I feel like this is maybe culturally specific. In fact, a kind of like weird cultural specificity where I think most of the people who need a cooling center probably don't do too much handshaking. But what do I know? I mean, I'm not really embedded in the community. The number 4, practice physical distancing and avoid contact with people who are ill. Solid, rock solid advice. I think that's really good. Number 5, stay home when you are ill. And that's probably good advice at any time in life in the world. It's just sometimes we can't afford to do that, but maybe we should from now on. Number 6, cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, then immediately throw the tissue in the garbage and wash your hands. If you don't have a tissue, sneeze or cough into your sleeve or arm. I take issue with this because I believe that you should always just cough or sneeze into your sleeve or arm because you can't always wash your hands right away. Anyhow, that's just me, but the coughing into the crook of the elbow, COVID or no COVID, is really the way we should all be going. And then finally, and this is really good advice we don't hear often enough, clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces. And that's something that's kind of easy to let slide, but it's true. You know, taps, toilet handles, doorknobs, light switches, kitchen counter, sinks, bathroom and kitchen sink. Clean them as regularly as possible. If you live alone, it's not as big a deal, but if you do anything but live alone, it is a big deal. Anyhow, the cooling center, I'm not going to go in and start narrating the cooling center within the cooling center space because that's rude. But I would say that there doesn't look to be a lot to do in the cooling center, and I hope they have Wi-Fi. Interesting. Okay, I am going to ask them a question now, and maybe I'll stop talking. Well, let's see. I don't want to touch the door. Anyway, I'm going to go in. Excuse me. Do you guys have Wi-Fi in here?
Sorry?
Wi-Fi?
Yeah, but I don't know if it will. Right.
Yeah, okay, cool. I don't need it right now, but it's good to know that you do have it. I'll also, if I need to come back in air conditioning, I definitely will. Yeah, you never know, right? You're not sure? Yeah, no, that's not...
Shower.
Sorry, no shower? There's no shower in here?
There's no shower.
Yeah. No, of course not. Yeah. Yeah, because the library is closed. Normally I would go and... Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Are you guys, like, okay with the job right now? It's like, it's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? That's good. That's cool. Yeah. It's too hot out now. It's definitely... I'm glad you're here, because... Yeah, definitely. All right. Thanks, guys. Can I grab a little of that? Cool. Okay. Thank you. Stay healthy.
Okay.
So there we have it. There might not be Wi-Fi at the cooling center, which sucks because it means that I'm just going to have to bring a book and kick back while I let my body temperature go back down to a healthy 98.5. Because at that point, you don't even know if it's heat stroke or COVID if you don't have a cooling center. Heat stroke or COVID, heat stroke or COVID. It could be both. You don't want to go to the hospital. The hospital is where people get COVID. But then you've got the cooling center. It's hard times in the city. I was just in the country, and country is, man, that's a sweet deal. If you know what you're doing and you're on top of stuff, the country is a sweet deal. You just kind of isolate in your country house. You go to the grocery store. They're actually pretty clean and like pretty on top of it, especially the chains. You know, they don't want to get a bad rap. But it's sort of when you get into like the towns, maybe the Dairy Queen, for example, is not quite on top of COVID safe practices. And that's a little worrisome for the country people because there is no COVID really. They are quite safe right now, but you know, all it takes is one holiday weekender to come in and give them the COVID, you know, moving around like that. I've got a lot of wind going by me at the moment, but no cars. I'm crossing a major street in Toronto, King Street West, and it's right downtown, and it's maybe 8 o'clock, and there's zero traffic at all. No traffic whatsoever. It's like the city is emptied out. Although I will say, you know, there were people in Metro Square, so clearly people are in the area looking for recreational spaces, but David Pico Square, Metro Hall Square, is not packed, meaning that is a great park to go to if all the other parks are packed. Because very shortly, I'm about to walk through a beautiful park. David Pico Square is not a beautiful park. I'm about to walk through a beautiful park. Oh, I'm walking past a condo, and this is it's a reasonably fancy condo. I definitely would describe it as not a shitty condo. And they have their whole Amazon package delivery system really set up. You can see that this condo, they made it just before people kind of cottoned on to the reality of Amazon delivery. So it's this beautiful long marble countertop with people's Amazon shit laid out on it. And it's not overflowing. I mean, it is a long counter. But there's also to the side of the concierge more piles of Amazon stuff. I guess that's the oversized Amazon stuff. No. It's just piles of Amazon stuff. So they're clearly overflowing with Amazon stuff here. And they haven't figured, when they built this condo, which was not very long ago, they hadn't quite yet figured out that they were going to need a special parcel room. special mail room. I guess this is back when people were like, people use email and Facebook now, so they're never going to use the mail again. The mail room is just kind of like a little appendix, and we've outgrown it. And no, that's not how it happened. Now we have the parcel room is required. It's very funny to see just people's piles of stuff they're ordering. You don't know what's in it, but it's all kinds of exciting things like knee warmers and yoga ball and a different controller for their video game system and a part for a phone charger and maybe some multicolor LED light bulbs. And they're also ordering I don't know, what do people order? People order all kinds of shit. A kit for growing mushrooms. That's also coming from Amazon. In Ontario, you can get weed in the mail, so I'm sure there's weed in the mail. Why would anybody ever leave? I wonder if you were to tip the concierge, would they just bring it right to your door? Are they allowed to? Is that COVID safe? It's hard to know. It's very hard to know. So now I'm at a one-way street here. It's called Adelaide Street. And they've cut down some lanes. So it appears busy, but in reality, it's just that some lanes have been cut down in the service of condo development that's being built. That's fine. Traffic is still a bit scary. I'm kind of unsure of what's happening. It's a little bit weird. People are out and about. They've exited their condos. They're delivering things. We're going around. And I waved to the guy. He smiled when I said I waved to the guy. That was really nice. I think that guy really wanted a smile and a wave. That's what he needed to get through this day, Nobody wants to be invisible. That sucks. Everybody wants to feel a part of a community. Everybody wants to belong. We've got somebody pressure washing something. I don't know. We're at least trying to keep up a facade of looking good while everything is closed here. I heard my friend today was saying that it's so tragic and creepy, but that it would be good to move to Europe because everyone's the same. And that's how you create community. To everybody being the same. And by the same, he meant white. And I mean, it is true that when everybody feels that they are in every single way part of a unified community or tribe, that they do tend to have certain types of social cohesion, but that also includes types of conservatism that limit people's options and choices and actions in other ways. But it is also possible to create a sense of social cohesion and community by being nice to each other. It's true. It's real. Just smile at people sometimes. Not too much though. Be careful. You have to be careful about how nice you are to some people. But I guess there's that sort of hostage technique you can also do. Which is pretty, don't quote me, I'm not going to say that this is always guaranteed to work, but it is not uncommon that if you are abducted as a woman by a man whose primary motivations are sort of sex crime motivated, that one of the ways you can get out of that situation is by becoming their girlfriend. And it sounds insane, and it is, but it's true. It sort of triggers something inside the person where it flips the need for dominance and control and power into one of that this is somebody who cares about me. And we all need to be taken care of. Everybody needs to be loved. It doesn't mean you always have to, write them letters when they're in jail or anything. But it's amazing what kindness will do for all of us. It's hard to be kind to people when you hate them, but if you can dig deep inside your soul... What an asshole. If you can dig deep inside your soul. See, I called that guy an asshole there. It's not necessarily a guy. It could be a woman driving around in a sports car needlessly in the middle of the city. There they go. You can hear them again. And I'm judging them so hard. But the reality is that if I had access to a sports car, or like an even better sports car, ideally, if I had access to a sick sports car, I would be so obnoxious. I would be the worst. Not dangerous necessarily, but like when I'm ready to go out for a spin, oh man, everybody is going to know who that yellow Porsche belongs to. Everyone. I'm not a pink sports car person. The Porsche is yellow and the little Corvette is red. And then the Jaguar is forest green. And then the Lexus is black. I won't drive any Nazi cars. I don't do that. I don't go there. But I'll definitely drive the hell out of all those fun little things. A Maserati, you know what I think about Maseratis personally? My personal feeling about a Maserati is that it's all label, nothing underneath. That's all. Just a label, but like the car itself was outsourced to like the lowest grade national car manufacturer in China, which I'm sure is one, you know, like if you are from a family where, you know, nobody even owned a bicycle and you're the first generation to own a car, then I'm sure those... that national auto manufacturer, Volkswagen level, is great. But if you're going to be putting down Maserati money, I would actually like something under the hood, please. I would like something under the hood, please. And that's just not what you're going to get. Like, if you're going to get something busted, just get something busted and be happy and enjoy that. That's also like a rich person move, like you buy, but it's always something like a Volvo or a Saab, right? It's like a 30-year-old Volvo they're driving, and that's, you know, right there, that's a rich person driving that 30-year-old Volvo. They roll up to the company, they park in the fucking president's parking spot. They love being so smug about the 30-year-old Volvo they're driving. They don't say it, but like everybody knows. There's the boss. She drives a fucking 30-year-old Volvo, and every now and then she'll be like, "Guess how old my car is?" And you have to be like, "Oh, your car is so old. Wow, you haven't bought a car in how long? How is it, 20 years? No, it's 30 years. That's a 30-year-old Volvo I'm driving." People are like, "Wow, that's incredible." And then I'm going to go on and on about like how fucking well made and safe it is. And like the safety standards they had 30 years ago are even better than the safety standards for most cars today. And blah, 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 blah. It doesn't upkeep. Still not even that expensive, and blah, blah, blah. You know, like making a Tesla is actually more carbon intensive than just driving a 30-year-old car, blah, 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 blah. It is true that a Tesla looks pretty smug, but a 30-year-old Volvo is even smugger. I'm a pretty smug person. I was like, what's my smug car? I'm driving around in my like Tesla for certain occasions. What are those occasions? It's when I need to really impress. That's the occasion when I trot out the Tesla. But then like the people who see me day in, day out, they know my real car is the 30-year-old Volvo, but my dirty secret shame is the lemon yellow Porsche in the garage, and I put a wig on when I drive that thing, so like really nobody's gonna know who it is. Just terrible sounds that Porsche makes. Actually, no, it doesn't, because I know how to drive, and I will do a very good job of driving that sports car. By the way, the lovely park here, is in really wonderful shape. It's very beautiful. There are people on picnic blankets cuddling on a date. There are earlier stage COVID dates where they're almost 6 feet apart, sitting on the grass looking at each other. There's best friends on their 2 separate blankets. God, that's so hard. They can't give each other a hug. There's a whole gathering, too many people, but they are definitely properly socially distanced, and they're outside. Little kids on bicycles, that's super nice. Dudes taking pictures of each other on a bench. That's really cute. I can't tell if they're boyfriends or best friends, but whatever it is, I hope those pictures are getting posted on the internet because they are adorable. Right now, I'm just walking on foot. I like to walk. I like to ride my bike. I like to sit for long periods of time in the train. I like to drive a car, especially if it's got a lot of pep. I love a peppy car. There's that like Porsche SUV. I think it's called the Cayenne. What a silly name. I'm sure they test marketed the hell out of that name. They know what they're doing. God, the people driving the Porsche SUV, I feel like are the absolute worst because they're not really. It's me. I'm the one driving the Porsche SUV. You want a really peppy SUV. That's what you want. But obviously, this Cayenne is not like. It's not something you pack a lot of people or stuff into. It's just like a really high up sports car. So if in the event you get into an accident, it's the other people who get crushed and not you. Is that really me? Maybe that's not quite my style. Might be a little more. I'm more the like shameful lemon yellow Porsche, like proper sports car, and then the for like regular showing off, it's the 30-year-old Volvo. That's really where I'm at. I think it's an okay way to be. I mean, we all have our secret shame. Mine being a $750,000 sports car that I don't want anybody to know I drive is pretty funny as far as secret shames go. It's pretty funny, but you know what? I swear to you, if I have that much money to throw into something as obnoxious as a car that I only drive when I'm sad, I don't know what I'm talking about. I got lost in that sad picture. But now I'm just walking through the streets. People are out and about. Things are happening. There's a farmer in a car here. It doesn't look like a farmer's car, but what does a farmer car look like? Do you know? When was the last time you saw a farmer car? They could be any car a farmer's driving. They don't always drive a pickup truck. I mean, they have to have a pickup truck for all kinds of shit. But really, it's just about moving the stuff that's on the farm or moving stuff to and from the farm. And it's mulberry season. This tree is too tall, but now we know, everybody. It's mulberry season. What a great time of year in the city when you can just run around eating the mulberries. The cherries are coming soon. That's always a treat. Wave to the old man on his porch while you're eating the cherries. Hopefully they're not wormy. Ideally, they're just tasty and sweet. I love a tart cherry, but people's tastes changed over time, and it's hard to find a tart cherry that's also easy to pick the fruit off of. That's not easy to find that. But apparently, all across northern Michigan, there are sour cherry farms. Back from when sour cherry jam was widely appreciated by the eating public, and I hope they're still there. My friend once said to me, she said, "Don't ever buy land in Michigan. It's all poison." She's probably right. She's probably right. Like, people talk about all the land in China that's totally poisonous. Like, it's true. I mean, even people in China do not want to eat food grown in China. But that's also true of the Rust Belt in the United States. We just sort of forgot it. But you don't want to eat that food, the Rust Belt food. It's got all kinds of weird heavy metals in the soil, and the water is super fucked up. I mean, we're kind of lucky in the Great Lakes that a lot of it just sort of settled into the sediment and is getting absorbed by the zebra mussels. But still, you don't want to disturb that. That's like that polluted canal in Brooklyn. People just do not touch the bottom. There's no boating allowed here because we don't want anybody disturbing the bottom and kicking up the poison that's in there. It'll take 100 years to clean if you let the oysters do it. But they will, and it'll be clean one day for all our descendants who will eat oysters on the shores of Manhattan. It happened before, it can happen again. Those whales coming back, a good sign. Just a few whales, kind of unsure what's happening or why they're there. But they know, they're something good is just starting up. I get some delicious food. That's an interesting thing I learned with the whales. The way you know the water is healthy is that it's cloudy in that particular place and time. It's cloudy because that's all the living things in the water that the whales are going to eat, or the living things that feed the things the whale eat. And it all comes back again. We hope. Not the same as before. Never comes back the same as it was before. But it comes back, and that's something. I think, what is that they say? You can never go home anymore. Yes, that girl group, that pop song. I've also heard, I think you could never go home again is the other way to put that. Is that an actual saying? But yeah, once you leave, the place you return to is not the same home you left. Just like the river I stepped into is not the river I step out of. Only this moment in time. That's a pretty good thing to meditate on. I don't think you have to sit quietly to meditate on that. That's a pretty simple one. Always good to be reminded, especially now in the middle of a global pandemic when nothing is knowable anymore except the fact that you need to wash your hands and don't touch your face. Stay physically distanced from people, and clean your surfaces. That's a good thing. There's a woman picking flowers here, and it's the mock orange, and it's delightful. It makes me very happy this time of year. Everything is alive. Everything is alive and dancing in the sun, and sometimes it's too much. Some people go crazy with all this sun because it feels like the sun will never set, and that's a really stressful feeling. Or you're waiting and waiting and waiting for the sun to set, and it finally sets, but when it's set, it's 10:30 at night, and when it rises, it's 4 in the morning, and you need a lot more sleep than that because you're still going. You don't go to sleep when it sets. You're just now you're starting to wind down. But then you're up all of a sudden, and the birds are singing, and they're having an incredible time. Flowers are blooming everywhere. Things are happening. Things are happening everywhere. Are things happening for you? What will it take to make things happen for you? Will things ever happen for you when things are so clearly, easily happening everywhere else around you? But that's not cool to think that way. That's not cool at all. It's much better to just be in the moment and enjoy that flower, enjoy that butterfly, enjoy that sunset and that cloud, enjoy those stars and that sunrise, enjoy all the people on their picnic blankets, socially distanced from each other, physically distanced. It upsets me to see how often it says socially distanced. That's not right. It's a physical distance, not a social one. But what can you do? That's just the way it is. We sort of forget sometimes to be kind to each other, but you really have to be kind because otherwise you don't have any neighbors or friends. And how the hell do you expect to have family? But the roses are in bloom. They'll grow wild, but if you cultivate them, you'll get better results. And that's true. We can't just assume that you let everything go wild and it'll be fine. Sometimes a little human intervention is exactly what we need. Not for the domination and control of nature, not some kind of power trip, but a little boost, a little help. It's kind of nice. It's always nice to get an unexpected tap on the shoulder. Hey, do you need a hand with that? I'm like, whoa, you know what? How did you know? I do need a hand with this. And then you get that little hand, and it turns out way better than it would have had you not had that help. And we can all have a little gratitude for each other, for the help we get, places and times it comes from. Why not be grateful? That was the gate to my house. These are my jangly keys. Now I'm gonna go and eat some dinner. Stream of consciousness.